Humans lose money left and right. They're wrong all the time. And the worst part about it is you can't back into why they gave you that decision. With technology, you can do that. I'm not saying Range will be error prone. I don't think anyone can make that claim. No one in the world can really make that claim because no one knows what's going to happen with the markets tomorrow or even, 10 minutes from now.
I'm Ryan Heath, and welcome to the AI Leadership Lab, where I interview C-suite leaders about their AI journeys. We cover what's working, where they're getting stuck, how they pivot, and the lessons they take from the losses. Joining me now on AI Leadership Lab is Fahad Hassan, who is the CEO and co-founder of Range. Welcome to the podcast, Fahad.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's dive into it. Set the scene for our listeners. Range is working to automate financial advice, in essential betting that AI can replace that sort of relationship-based golf course handshake sort of way of doing business. But what does that mean in practice for your customers? And where is the AI in your offering?
Yeah, our AI is embedded both in our backend tool for our financial advisors. So let me take a step back. Range has a team of financial advisors, CFPs, CPAs, CFAs that we've hired from throughout the industry. And I didn't want to start an AI company and dive right into a topic that I was not an expert in. I think a lot of people have done that in the AI world is let's just use AI to solve problems. For David, my co-founder, and I, we really started this journey 5 years ago where we wanted to deeply understand the problems our customers were facing and specifically understand what their wealth problems were from a retirement planning perspective, tax planning perspective, investments, et cetera. Instead of just building solutions, we hired financial advisors. We got registered with the SEC. We understood the laws and the regulatory framework, the compliance necessary. So we spent several years, candidly, just building software to help us understand how the financial ecosystem works. And as we built more and more software, we started to identify where AI could take out the human advisor and replace those responses, those algorithms, those heuristics, those feedback points for the consumer with AI. And that's really the journey we've been on. So what I like to say is think about us kind of like Uber today, where there's a driver in the seat. They have all this incredible technology to get you from A to B anywhere in the world, but the goal is to become Waymo, driverless, fully autonomous. And we're not there by any means today. I think it's a long road to get there, but we've been incredibly methodical in terms of how to embed AI directly for our customers, building AI tools for our financial advisors, so on and so forth. And so AI is both prevalent in the software, the tools, the communications, the backend. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And that's really interesting that you're starting from that sort of position of finding the pain points and then solving the pain points rather than sort of telling people you've invented something they didn't know they needed. You're really working back from the customer there.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Now, I'm trying to think of like what an analogy might be for industries that have changed that are kind of adjacent to what you're doing.
Yeah.
We all know stockbrokers. They kind of exist still, but not in any way like they used to exist. Is that a reasonable example of what you think is going to happen to wealth managers, or are they just going to totally disappear?
That's a phenomenal example. So the one I like to point to a lot is Robinhood. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and if you wanted to watch the famous movie Wall Street back in the day, there's floors of people making trades. In the late 90s, early 2000s, Web 1.0, E-Trade introduced the first web platform, I want to say, one of the first web platforms to trade stocks. I still have an E-Trade account. It's now owned by Morgan Stanley. But there's no more humans in the loop at Robinhood, right? E-Trade does have humans in the loop. So if I have a problem with my E-Trade account, I can actually call my representative at Morgan Stanley and someone will answer the phone for me. Or they'll call me and try to sell me products candidly, which happens at least once a quarter, by the way. I've also had a Robinhood account for probably 8 years now, and there's no one to call. The product either works on your phone or it doesn't, and it's fully autonomous. It's take it or leave it. And I think that is the world of where financial advice is going. You do not need human beings to do any of the work financial advisors do in the coming decade. And I know financial advisors will fight me tooth and nail on this point and say, relationships are what matter to help customers walk through XYZ problems. My counter to that is just keep focusing on first principles and try to really understand, why do you need a relationship? What is the purpose of it? Is it because a customer doesn't understand financial concepts? Is it because they've gotten themselves into a tough situation and you need to walk them out of it? And with technology, we can preempt a lot of this. And so that's really what we're trying to do at Range.
And so walk me through the thinking around still having the human advisors operating your software. Is that kind of you just wanting to get comfortable with the quality of the AI outputs and then they transition away? Or is it the customers, you need to kind of warm them up to the idea of eventually going fully automated?
That's a phenomenal question. It's both, right? There's so much to learn and so much to build that we need the collective wisdom of, we now have almost 300 years of collective wisdom in the financial planning sector. We have employees that worked at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, local registered investment advisory shops, broker dealers. We have a wide variety of incredible financial advisors that work here that are working with our product managers every day to automate their jobs away. It's a weird thing to do. We can talk more about that in a minute. But
I've been
also,
working at a legal AI startup, and we have
yeah,
90 players sitting there. But the goal is pretty much like you guys.
that's
Eventually,
that's right.
get rid of the managed services and then move to the software model.
That's right. And so that's half of it. The other half of it, as you pointed out, is customers need to be brought into this new world. Imagine 100 years ago when we introduced the car to consumers and everyone was taking horse and buggy. No one's just going to step into a car and say this is the future. It takes some time and energy and space to get accustomed to new technology, but no one takes a horse and buggy anymore. It's recreational at this point. And I think the same thing is going to happen with AI technologies. So it's going to take some time, and we're willing to bet, on being long-term greedy is what I call it. I'm not building this company to be a fly-by-night company by any means. I think we're going to be a publicly traded company in the near future, over the next, 3 to 5, 7 years, hopefully. And, I think this is the future of the wealth category. And I think this is the future of a lot of AI categories, candidly. The world as we know it will not be the same a decade from now as it is today.
Yeah, I think that is a fair assessment. Now, another way that you are kind of disrupting the industry is taking on a different pricing model.
Mhm.
And in the sense that you've rejected this percentage of assets sort of fee structure. Is that a philosophical stand where you just think that is a bad structure that rips off customers? Or is it more that it's about sort of lowering the administration at your end and scaling quicker and easier?
Yeah. It's definitely more philosophical and personal. And I would say we're trying to do the right thing for the customer. Um, most folks that have a financial advisor, they don't know what they pay their advisor. And most Americans, by some studies I've read, they end up paying their financial advisor $250,000 to $300,000 over the course of their lifetime in fees. And most advisors are parking you in the S&P 500. They're parking you in these large index funds. I could do that for free on E-Trade. And it's generally good financial advice. Not that this is financial advice. I need to clarify that, especially as I run a financial services firm. But the fee structure is just abysmal. It's hasn't been disrupted in 100 years plus, right? The fee structure for working with advisors 100 years ago was a percentage of your assets, and most startups today that really aren't disrupting, they still charge a fee structure that is asset management based. It's restrictive. It's prohibitive to only the folks that are wealthy. We're not just talking about fee structure. The other thing we should talk about is required minimums.
Yeah.
So most advisors not only charge you a fee, but they say, hey, you need to walk in the door with $1 million, $500,000, $10 million, because that 1% fee they collect, it has to cover their operating costs because they have humans and not AI or technology. And so we're disrupting the pricing in many different ways. If we can do what the market does with AI from a servicing perspective, which we are doing, and I believe we're going to do even faster, cheaper, better as we scale, it's going to disrupt the category. They have to change their business models, and if they don't, they're going to die.
Yeah, I think the same way about any sort of professional services, consultancy, or lawyers, the billable hours model. It's not absolutely not going to disappear overnight, but it's not a value-based sort of pricing system. It's really quite insane. It won't withstand AI either. So I think there's a lot of these sort of changes that are going to occur.
Yeah.
Now, not financial advice, but in the realm of financial information, if something goes wrong and people lose money, they obviously get pretty pissed. I can imagine customers being frustrated if there is some kind of misstep with AI. What sort of steps are you taking to make sure you don't have those angry customers who find themselves sort of on the other side of an AI mistake?
The first thing I'll say is we have a team of human advisors that checks all of the work that goes out. And obviously, we want to automate a lot of that away. But as we automate that away, we're very aware that we need to introduce other AI that checks the work that our core AI is producing in terms of investment plans, tax strategies, et cetera. So think of it as a compliance monitoring AI, an analyst AI. These agents, these agentic frameworks that people are building, we're doing the same thing at Range, where you have multiple agents checking the work of one another. Mathematically, it is better than humans giving you advice who are wrong all the time. Like, no one likes to realize
I love that you say that. It's so true. Like, we act like
all
humans
the
are
time.
perfect.
Humans lose money left and right. They're wrong all the time. And the worst part about it is you can't back into why they gave you that decision. With technology, you can do that. I'm not saying Range will be error prone. I don't think anyone can make that claim. No one in the world can really make that claim because no one knows what's going to happen with the markets tomorrow or even 10 minutes from now. But we can build incredible technology that walks a customer through why we made a recommendation for them that is hyper personalized, by the way, which we didn't talk about personalization with AI, that generic human advisors just simply cannot do.
Yeah, I think about this mostly in terms of my many 401k accounts that
Yeah.
I find it possible to consolidate, and I've got pensions in other countries around the world too. It's a complete nightmare. But then the way you kind of can't toggle with the investment strategy, it's like choose the 2045 option or choose.
That's right.
Yeah, it infuriates me. I should be able to just go in on a dashboard and like move
Yeah.
buttons and sort of things across the screen, and it should just be done instantly.
The other thing I'll say is like we're going to play a big role in advising people, but it's going to be their decision. Our job is to inform our customers of what their options are. Is the 2045 option good for you, or is it the 2050 option? Is it this index or that index? And here's our thinking behind it. You're a smart person, and you can make that decision if we lay it out for you in an easy to digest manner. That's the other thing I don't like about the financial services industry is many advisors out there, not all of them, definitely a lot of advisors, they get you into products and services where they are not a fiduciary, right? They're getting comped on the back end. A lot of people do that. And at Range, our advisors do not sell. They don't pitch products. We definitely are going to build product marketplaces for insurance products, debt products, other services as we scale the business. But like, I want to be radically transparent with our customers in terms of where the advice comes from, what we're offering, why we're offering, if we have any kickbacks. That's been our philosophy from day one. We have our values as a company posted on our website, front and center. One of them is do what's right for the customer. The other one is radical transparency. We have our pricing link in big size 18 font right on range.com. You will not find that on Fidelity, Schwab, Creative Planning, Mercer, LPL. I can name more and more competitors that, customers switching over to us from. Their pricing is buried in size 8 font on page, 27 of a newsletter that people don't read in their mail. And so that's just wrong. Like, we want to make it easy for consumers to buy. We don't, and fair and transparent. We don't want to make it difficult to figure this stuff out.
Well, that brings us neatly to the regulation sort of question, your point about radical transparency, because one of the best ways to maybe not avoid regulation, but make sure you don't get hit with regulation that's onerous is to be a transparent company or industry in the first place.
Yeah.
Now, if we think about AI regulation, we're very much in these sort of early days. It's pretty much the Wild West on one hand. And then on the other hand, you're in the financial industry, which is highly regulated.
Yeah.
So how does that sort of dual environment affect how you innovate and then how you roll out your product once you have innovated?
I actually think it's an opportunity. I don't think it's a barrier by any means. So number one, we have spent an inordinate amount of money on lawyers up front to get it right? To understand what the regulations are, what the government has told us we cannot do. We've adhered to the NIST AI regulatory standards that are the only regulatory standards, as far as we've come to understand, regulated by the government on AI. And I think the best way to do this is to be on the forefront of saying, here's what we're trying to do. Customers want it. They trust it. Here are all the safeguards we've put in place as if this AI was a human being trying to give you advice. And I think the government and I think customers will really understand that and make their own decision. We also don't force anyone that's uncomfortable using new technology into this thing. For example, I'll give you another example related to this, right? There's a Waymo. I take it every time I'm in San Francisco. I love it. I trust the self-driving car that can go 100 miles an hour and take my life, candidly, but I have no qualms about it. My mom will not get into one.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay her, she won't get into one. She's not
Yeah.
comfortable, and that's okay. It's her choice. I
Yeah.
think the same is going to be true with AI. There's a lot of people who will be comfortable with technology to start, and then others who won't be, and that's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's their money. They
Absolutely, they've earned it.
Pointless fees. They're allowed to spend it on pointless fees.
Absolutely. And that's our belief is like, we're going to build technology. We're going to share with people how we regulate it, how we put guardrails against it, and how we help them. And then it's going to be up to them to decide if they want to work with us.
Yeah.
What we're finding is people are wanting to work with us in droves.
Yeah.
And
I think what you might find as well is that you may achieve the most important sort of protection a new company can, which is you develop your customers into advocates.
That's it.
So that if there is a silly regulation that comes knocking, you've got people who are willing to fight for you instead of people who, shrug their shoulders because they don't really care about your future.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're starting to see that where customers that use Range and then they may have a second advisor or try us for a year and say, hey, let me go try another service. They come back because they're like, it's too slow. It's not good enough. And so all of a sudden Range is now becoming the new standard in terms of speed, accuracy, and pricing. And we really focus on these three pivot points as a business. Is like, we want to deliver the best quality, highest quality, fastest advice to our customers at the lowest prices possible. And we really think consumers deserve that.
Yeah. Now, you've also said you do want to see some new laws around AI-powered advice, sort of in general. I'm presuming you don't want to see a massive broad brush law. Like, what sort of targeted measures do you think are the most important ones to include in any law like that?
That's a good question. I think it's tough to have broad measures against such a broad category. So to say that, we want one law, one rule, or top 10 rules for AI financial services firms, I think that, as you pointed out, is really difficult. I don't think I've really thought through like the depth of specific laws that I would advocate for quite yet. I think that it is an evolving landscape, and we've got a really smart team of product managers, engineers, lawyers here that are constantly thinking about this stuff deeply. And what I would love to do though is I'd love to get ahead of kind of where this industry is going and work really closely with the folks writing these laws and saying, here's what we're seeing from our customers. Here's what makes sense. Here's what doesn't make sense. Here's where it's dangerous. Here's where, we can go a little bit faster, and really just have that conversation. And I think those conversations need to be had because AI is not going away. This is not some fad. This is here to stay forever. And so we need to embrace it, and we need to embrace it thoughtfully. And I think if we do that, then everyone wins.
Now, if we sort of like finish on some future focused questions, I was very interested to see that Gradient Ventures is one of your big backers. They're Google's AI focused fund, and there's a bunch of others that are betting big on you. So how would you say, why is someone like Gradient interested in you? Is it because you're so gung-ho about being able to fully automate in the future, or is it something else in the business model?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll talk specifically to Gradient, but really all our investors. And then we had our Series B led by Caffeinated, who led the Series B Chime, which is what public about a month or two ago. They also get it. They see the digital revolution. They saw it through Chime, and now hopefully they're going to see it to an IPO with Range as well. So the folks we work with at Gradient, our partner, who's also on our board of directors, a guy named Darian Shirazi, and then at Cathay, it's a guy named Simon Wu. They've been amazing partners. And I think I'm speaking on their behalf now, so you may want to talk to them, but I think what resonated the most with them when they invested in us is these guys see pitches every day, all day long. Everyone is coming to them saying, hey, look, we're going to use AI to augment human financial advisors. We're going to use AI to augment humans in XYZ ways. My co-founder, David, and I went to them and said, no more humans. We're not going to augment anything. We may do that temporarily, but our belief is in a fully autonomous agentic AI wealth system. That is a very bold, aggressive pitch on the future, that we fully believe that this category of wealth advisors will not exist for 99.9% of the population. Now, why didn't I say 100%? Because I do think the ultra wealthy, let's say net worth over $10, $20 million liquid, you're just going to pay people to do work for you. Like it'll probably be faster.
And to them, it doesn't matter. Like you
Doesn't matter.
can pay a fee
Yeah.
because it's just change.
There's very few people in the country that fit that bill anyways, but for 99.9% of Americans, this can be a fully AI enabled agentic flow, and you do not need a financial advisor. We think that world will exist here with range, with certain products by the end of this year, more products by the end of next year, and then definitely a full blown out system across all your wealth needs in the next probably 36 to 48 months. I feel really confident saying that. And to a lot of people listening to this podcast, that may feel fast, but I think I want to remind people, like, we've been at this for 5 years already. So when I talk 3 years out, I mean, we're almost in a 10-year journey of rolling these products out. So we've been thoughtful, deliberate, talking to customers and really understanding what it's going to take to build an autonomous system. We started day one with a vision of full autonomy. This is not something that's new.
Yeah.
So
And even if it feels quick to some people, there are things that are going to feel a lot quicker pretty soon because we're still in that sort of relatively slow ramp up phase, I would say. Like the progress is amazing, but this is going to be like a sort of tsunami that hits all at once at some point, and people have got to get used to that.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be like iPhones. Like you're going to wake up and all of a sudden, no more flip phones. You don't have a choice. I think that tsunami is going to happen between 2025 and 2030, in my opinion, and especially in wealth. And I think Range is positioned as a leader right now to provide that experience for consumers.
And you've been sort of hinting at the idea of a new fundraising round sometime in fall or winter. One, are there any more hints you can give there? And two, what do you want that money to prove? Is it build out something new in the product roadmap? Is it just to scale into more markets? Like what would be the effect of that money?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more product to build, and I'm most excited about raising any future round of capital to help us lean more into a software AI powered wealth world. And so I'd love to use the bulk of that money to create better solutions for our customers and provide them better, faster, cheaper services, candidly. Distribution, just to scale for scaling's sake. I think as we refine the product, the scaling takes care of itself in many ways. And so do I want to spend, the bulk of our next fundraise, whenever that may be, purely on growth? No, I mean, we want to grow, obviously, and we are growing more and more aggressively by the day, but I get excited as a technologist. I love building new things and better technology every day. So does my co-founder. So does the team here at Range. That's why we all signed up for this job. And so any capital we get, like the first thing I think of is how I can invest more in technology. That is the number one thing I focus on, because I think the flywheel gets going if you invest more and more in the tech. It's just hard to catch up,
Yep. I think folks at JP Morgan see that in banking. They're so far ahead of the other banks these days. Yeah, and that honestly also makes a lot of sense because you put this much time and effort into it, so you've got to rake in the payoff now. Fahad Hassan, thank you so much for joining AI Leadership Lab.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. 2 things before you go. First, if you'd like to appear on the show or know someone I should have on, you can find me through ryanheathconsulting.com. Finally, please tell a friend or colleague about AI Leadership Lab. Even better, leave a short 5-star rating or review on whatever platform you found this podcast. It'll help us reach more of the people who'd enjoy these tips and tricks. Thanks, and talk soon.